European Union member states today have approved a €93 billion package of counter-tariffs on American goods. The measures would take effect on August 7th, but only if ongoing talks with Washington fail to reach a deal. The package includes €21 billion worth of earlier planned tariffs. The EU's tougher stance comes as both sides edge closer to an agreement, with a 15% baseline tariff on EU exports now under discussion, ahead of an August 1st deadline. Now we're joined by Ross Feingold. He's a political analyst joining us live from Taipei. Thank you, Ross, for joining us today. Very good to see you. Now, how seriously should we view the EU's €93 billion counter-tariff package? Is this a realistic negotiating tactic or a signal for trade war with the US?
It appears that the Europeans are serious about implementing these measures if trade talks with the United States fail and the Trump administration imposes higher tariffs and other measures on goods from the European Union entering the United States. Certainly, the Trump administration will take this seriously. I think the Trump administration is aware of the harm to U.S. exporters that would occur if the European Union was to implement these measures. But at the same time, the Trump administration has its goals with regard to market access to Europe. It has its goals with regard to what kind of tariff it wants to impose on goods from Europe and entering the United States. And to really be fair to the Trump administration, some of their very tough measures have resulted in deals. And if those deals work out the way they're intended, such as the recently announced deal with Japan or Indonesia, these are very large deals with a lot of commitments for either exports from the United States to those countries or inbound investment. So again, from the Trump administration perspective, they're probably not going to be scared off. Certainly, again, if implemented, it would do some harm to U.S. exporters, but I don't think the Trump administration is going to be scared off, and I think they're going to take a hard line and hope that some agreement could be reached.
And now with the deadline set for August 7th, what are the chances that ongoing talks between the EU and the US can de-escalate tensions in time?
I think we should remain optimistic. The two sides are talking. Again, there's the recent examples of the U.S. reaching deals, especially an incredibly large and complex one like with Japan. So there's clearly a willingness from the Trump administration to reach deals. They're not saying we don't want to negotiate. They're not saying we don't want a deal. They're basically saying we're open for business, and let's negotiate. So I would say we should remain optimistic. We still have approximately 2 weeks, so there's still some time left, and hopefully the negotiators could reach a deal.
And now, how does this developing trade standoff align with other global economic risks, including US's domestic politics and growing protectionism worldwide?
To the extent that the United States is reaching deals with some of its major trading partners, I think markets are reacting positively to that. And in the countries that reach deals with the United States, again, such as Japan, the reaction so far has generally been positive. So if you're asking about the potential global reaction to a US-EU deal, I think there would be a positive reaction, of course, in the United States or in EU member countries. And I think the business communities and exporters in both the United States and the EU would welcome an agreement that would put aside the tensions. What the market or the global environment, of course, doesn't like is uncertainty. So an EU-US deal would certainly remove a lot of uncertainty. And another important thing to also keep in mind is if the US and the EU reach a deal, that would free up the resources of the US negotiators to then deal with other countries that have yet to reach a deal with the United States.
Thank you, Ross, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next news as well. Now, Ukraine and Russia